Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for coming. Welcome to another episode of Islamic lecture and learning to be done on wisdom and hikmah. So today we are continuing the series of learning about prominent and pious people, including prophets in the Quran. Today we are learning about LUQMAN in the Torah, who was very wise. One of the greatest advice he gave to his son was that to be kind to his parents. This advice is mentioned by Allah in many places in the Quran. This next small recitation is part of an ayah from Surah Al-Isra, 17 chapter, ayah 23. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما فلا تقل لهما أف. Clearest translation of that is, if any of them or both of them reach old age, that's referring to parents, do not say to them uff, a word or expression of anger or contempt. We will be learning about other advices that Luqman gave to his son and proverbs Luqman gave us today. Our speaker today is Ustadha Sidra Naeem, who is a qualified Aalimah and has been teaching Islam in madrasas, Islamic schools, and in the community to both children and parents since 2003. She has studied Prophet stories in details. So that's the end of the intro, and without further ado, let's welcome our speaker, Sister Sidra Naeem. Thank you.
Okay, today we are going to talk about LUQMAN the WISE. He's mentioned as LUQMAN actually in the Old Testament, which is the Bible or the Torah. And it's quite a very, very interesting story. Okay, now did you know that LUQMAN is the only person, male person, who has a surah named after him apart from the prophets. And that means he must have done something absolutely amazing for Allah to put him at the level of a prophet. So who can tell me how many surahs in the Quran are named after prophets? Put your hand up if you know. Yes.
25?
No, that's how many prophets are mentioned in the Quran. How many surahs are named after prophets?
7?
Not 7, slightly less 6. Okay? These are the 6 surahs named after prophets, and LUQMAN, who was not a prophet but a wise man, according to the majority of scholars, has a surah named after him, and that is absolutely amazing, because that means Allah put him up at the status of a prophet. He's the only man in the Quran who has got a surah named after him apart from the prophets. Okay? And did you know that LUQMAN, he was around at the time of Dawood alayhi salam, and he lived through to Solomon alayhi salam's reign as well, which is why we're mentioning him straight after Dawood alayhi salam's lecture. Okay? He was mentioned in the previous scriptures as having lots and lots of wisdom. He was mentioned as a wise man. He was living amongst the people of Jerusalem, and he was actually a servant of Dawood alayhi salam as well. Okay? Now he had so many talents. He had so many different roles in the community. Okay? He was a shepherd to start off with. First of all, he came over as a slave, then he became a shepherd, then he was a tailor, a carpenter, and then he ended up as a judge with Prophet Dawood alayhi salam. So let us unravel the story through the curtain. Okay, so he was black, he was African, he was Ethiopian slave and a carpenter by profession. He was from Nubia, the black people of southern Egypt. Okay, in those days, Ethiopia was south of Egypt. And he came from there. He is described as having thick lips and a flat nose, and he was quite short. Okay? And it's mentioned in the Hadiths that there are only 3 black men in history who have been really, really high in Islam. Who can tell me who the other 2 black people are?
Bilal.
Yes, Bilal, good. Bilal was a slave as well. And there was somebody else called Marja, who was a freed slave of Umar. Okay? But when those 3 slaves came into Islam, or under the banner of monotheism, because this slave didn't come near Islam times, he was in the days of Judaism, but in those days it was Islam, wasn't it? We know the worship of one Allah is Islam. They were no longer slaves. They were freed and made and given so much respect and status as servants. They were more like servants, okay? Now he was a very, very pious man from the beginning, and he always worshipped Allah, okay? And it says in the Hadith, Ibn Jarir narrated, Luqman was a black slave, thick-lipped and cracked-footed. What does the cracked-footed bit mean, do you think? Let's have...
It's probably he's been walking a lot.
Yes.
So that's why he's got cracked heels.
Yes, so it's hardworking and humbleness. It means he doesn't have shoes, okay?
So he walked barefooted.
Yes, so he was very, very humble. He was one of the servants of Allah. He was always praying and things like that, okay? And he had so much talent in different areas, and that's why he knew a lot about everything, you see. So he was a slave, a servant, a carpenter, a tailor. He was a shepherd as well, and a judge. Whenever you have lots and lots of different fields you're talented in, all together you have so much knowledge and you become wise through working in different places, don't you? The more you know, the more wise you become, because the more life experience you have. Okay? So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him really elevated, okay? And asked him, would you like to be a prophet? I would like to make you a prophet. And he said, no, I don't want to be a prophet. And Allah said, what do you want, out of prophecy, or do you want to have hikmah? Hikmah is wisdom and knowledge. Do you want that instead? Okay? And he said, yes, I prefer that. I don't think I'm strong enough to be a prophet. So he was, in a way, given that status, offered it, but he didn't take it. Okay? And then one day, let's have a look at the story. One day he was sleeping, and Jibreel alayhi salam came to him while he was sleeping, and from the sky he poured wisdom into him. And by the morning, he could pronounce everything. He knew everything, how to guide people and everything. So here is the hadith. Saeed said, I heard Qatada as saying, it was said to Luqman, how did you prefer wisdom to prophethood when you were unable to choose between them? He said, if Allah were to assign me with prophethood, I would accept it and try hard to win his pleasure. But he enabled me to choose. I feared of being too weak for prophethood, so I chose wisdom. Okay? Does that make sense? So if he was given it, he would have taken it. But he wasn't given that, he was given a choice. What would you like out of the two? Okay? So, from Luqman, he became Luqman al-Hakim. That is his new title. He was the wisest person that we know about. Okay? But the wisdom obviously came from Allah, didn't it? Through to him. So Imam Ahmed narrated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, and indeed we bestowed upon Luqman al-Hikmah, wisdom and religious understanding. And Allah chose to bestow the honor and high respect by virtue of his wisdom, and even though originally he was a black slave. Okay? Here is the ayah in the Quran.
لقد آتينا لقمان الحكمة أن اشكر لله ومن يشكر فإنما يشكر لنفسه ومن كفر فإن الله غني حميد.
And he was so thankful to Allah. He was full of gratitude. Indeed, we bless Luqman with wisdom, saying, be grateful to Allah, for whoever is grateful, it is only for their own good. And whoever is ungrateful, then surely Allah is self-sufficient, praiseworthy. That's in Luqman, chapter 31, verse 12. Okay? So his story is all in Surah Luqman, and all in sequence. And the very important thing here was that he learned gratefulness from who? Who did he work with and he must have learned gratefulness from? Yes.
And Dawood.
Yes. Do you remember Dawood alayhi salam was so grateful and Allah kept giving him more and more and more. And who's the other prophet? Sulaiman alayhi salam. He worked with both of them. He worked during both of their lifetimes and he learned good things from them as well. So altogether that made him a really, really nice man. Okay? Now, like I said, he actually did live in lots of different places. He was a servant in lots of houses and things. So there was one house where he was a servant, and it is said that Luqman was sold as a slave in the beginning to this house, and the man who bought him was a good man and was always so kind to Luqman. And there is a famous story between Luqman and his master, where the master said to him, kill a goat and bring to me the best 2 parts of the goat. Okay? And he brought over the tongue and the heart. Those are the 2 parts he brought him. And then another day, his manager, if you like, said to him, kill the goat again, and this time bring me the 2 worst parts. And do you know what he brought? The tongue and the heart again. Now look how wise he was. So both of those body organs can be good and they can be bad, depending on the person. Okay? So I find that really fascinating. So let's have a look at the hadith. So one day his master asked him to slaughter a sheep and bring the 2 best pieces from it. Luqman slaughtered the sheep and brought out the tongue and the heart. After some time passed, his master again asked him to slaughter a sheep, and this time to bring them the worst 2 pieces of it. He did as instructed, and to his master's amazement, again brought the tongue and the heart. Seeing them, his master asked him how the heart and the tongue could both be the best and worst pieces. Luqman replied, there is nothing better than these if they are good, and there is nothing worse than these if they are bad. Such was the wisdom of Luqman al-Hakim. Okay? Now think about a person. If they've got a foul tongue and a closed heart, closed to Islam or hard-hearted, people who are hard-hearted, selfish, arrogant, all of those kinds of traits, they're horrible people, aren't they? Okay, but then a person who's got a nice, kind tongue and a soft heart for empathy can be good. Okay, yes.
Were they, just to make sure, were there 2 separate goats?
2 separate goats.
Okay.
2 separate goats, because the first one got killed,
Okay.
and then there's another day. Another day, then the next
Okay.
goat came. The tongue there for a reason, because of the tongue. That's quite a valid question, by the way. It's not a dumb question. So
Because you said he killed the goat again, so it's almost implied it was the same
exactly.
goat, not killed
But what I
a
mean
goat.
is he was asked to kill the goat
Okay,
again.
thank you.
Okay.
I thought the same actually.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So it's not a bad question. Okay. So That is actually, we can apply that to human beings. There's quite a lot of wisdom in that, isn't there? Where the same person can turn nasty just by the tongue, what they say and what they do with their heart, you see. Okay, let us move on. Now, people were questioning, how comes you've become more wise? Tell us how that happened. Yeah? When you become high or you get an award of some kind, people ask you, well, what did you do to get that? Tell us all about it. So people were asking him. Ibn Jabir narrated while he was preaching some people, he was a preacher as well, to preach good things. A man used to know him, saw him and said, aren't you the slave of so-and-so who used to look after my sheep not so long in the past? Luqman said, yes. The man said, what raised you to this high state, I see? Luqman said, the divine decree, which is Allah, repaying the trust, telling the truth, you have to have a nice tongue for that, and discarding and keeping silent regarding what does not concern me, as in gossip and backbiting. There you go, all the sins of the tongue. Okay, so that is what he said. And then there's another narration where more people ask him, what's happened to you? And then he tells them how it all changed. So it is believed that Luqman al-Hakim was granted such wisdom owing to his goodness and virtue. He was believed to be a deep-thinking and self-restraining man. He was very eloquent and well-versed in his speech. And people really, really respected him for all the knowledge and the wisdom that he had. So here's the other one. Ibn Wahab narrated when people who sought his advice asked him what had raised him to this status. Luqman al-Hakim would answer, lowering my gaze, watching my tongue, eating what is lawful, as in halal, keeping my chastity, undertaking my promises, fulfilling my commitments, being hospitable to guests. Very important one, that one. Respecting my neighbours and discarding what does not concern me. All these made me the one you are looking at. Okay? Now all of these, again, we can relate them all to our lives. Keeping our chastity is our modesty for ladies, lowering our gaze is for the men, watching our tongues, promises should be kept, we should fulfill our commitments, we should be hospitable to guests when they come round, all that kind of stuff. Respect our neighbours and backbiting, gossip and all of that. We shouldn't really be doing that. It's none of our business, especially if it's none of our business, it says there. Okay? Right, let's have a recap so far, because this is the beginning part of his life, before he gets married and has children. Okay? So I'm going to put a video on and you can watch that.
Luqman al-Hakim, he is not a prophet, he is not a messenger, but he is a righteous, upright, pious man that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran Kareem, that Allah named an entire surah after his name. And they say that Luqman, he was born during the time of Dawood alayhi salam. And he also lived during the time of the reign of Sulaiman, the son of Dawood alayhi salam. And they say that Luqman al-Hakim was born in the southern part of Egypt during the time and the kingdom of Dawood alayhi salam, who moved towards Palestine, and he sought knowledge from Dawood, then from Sulaiman, and he was a wise man that people will resort to and seek knowledge from. Some of the scholars say he was a slave, and his master used to look down at him. His master used to mistreat him. But then when he found out about his wisdom, and he found out about his forbearance and his understanding, his master became so close to him. Then at the end he freed him and he became a free man. And amongst the events that took place between Luqman and his master, that one day the master of Luqman, he gave him a sheep, and he told him to go and slaughter this sheep. And after he slaughters the sheep, to bring the best part of him. So Luqman al-Hakim took that sheep, he slaughtered the sheep, and then he brought to his master the tongue and the heart. Then the following day his master gave him another sheep, and he told him to take it and to slaughter it and to bring the worst part of it. So Luqman al-Hakim went, he slaughtered the sheep, and then he brought back to his master the tongue and the heart. So his master was amazed, and he said to him, please explain, how do you reconcile the two? So Luqman al-Hakim, he responded and he said, how beautiful the tongue and the heart can be, and how bad and evil the heart and the tongue can be. The heart and the tongue are the most beautiful parts in you, and the heart and the tongue can be the worst parts in you. It's with this heart and this tongue that you could win people over, with this heart and this tongue that you could turn people away from you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised him in the Quran Kareem because of his wisdom, understanding things the way they should be understood. And then we commanded him to thank Allah Azza wa Jal for granting him wisdom. And whoever thanks Allah is only thanking Allah Azza wa Jal for the benefit of himself.
So, Luqman then gets married, okay, and he has children, and Allah tests him. Allah tests him. Like Allah tests all the prophets. He's not a prophet, but he is treated like a prophet. So a lot of his children died. He had lots of children. Allah took away his wealth as well. So he didn't really have much. However, he carried on praying. He did not stop in the ibadah of Allah. And even though his children died, he was still grateful. Did you know that? And he still had one son. Okay? And one day he thought, now my child is growing up, I need to now sow some seeds of wisdom into my child. Okay? And what he did was, he got a bag of mustard seeds and put them beside him. And with each mustard seed, he gave a pearl of wisdom to his son. Isn't that amazing? Ibn Umar said, Luqman placed a bag of mustards beside him and started to advise his son, giving him with every piece of advice a mustard until it all ran out. So you can imagine how many pearls of wisdom he must have given. Okay? Now, there are 6 advices that were given to Luqman al-Hakim that are in the Quran. Do you think they're in the Bible?
Yes.
No. No, why not? How do we know? Think carefully about this question. There are 6 advices in the Quran. Do you think they are in the Bible? Think about all my previous lectures that I've spoken about. Yes?
Because they're not mentioned in the Bible, that's why they mention them.
Good, you got it. You got it. Well done. Whatever is in the previous books that is correct is left or changes and is amended in the Quran. Okay? What is omitted in the previous books, Allah puts it down in detail. Okay? These are the 6 pearls of wisdom that were not in the previous scriptures, and Allah has put them explicitly in the Quran. Okay? The other pearls of wisdom that are in the previous scriptures, they are in the Hadiths. Okay? So, the very first one is to be grateful to Allah, which we have already done. He was very grateful to Allah, and he told his son, look how grateful I am. Yeah, all my children have died, and I'm poor now, and I was grateful when hikmah came to me and everything. Okay? So let us have a look at the other ones. What do you think was the main next one that he had to do, which is always first in Islam? Yes?
Prayers.
No, even before prayers.
Shahada, the belief in Allah.
The Shahada, the belief in, you can't even do the prayers unless you believe in one God, okay? Think of the 5 pillars. A lot of Muslims get this wrong. Think of the 5 pillars. It's really important. First, you believe in Allah, then the prayers are next. You can't pray unless you believe in Allah, okay? So the very first one was pray to Allah and don't do no shirk, full stop, okay? He was the best father in Islam, okay? And he started off with this one.
وإذ قال لقمان لابنه وهو يعظه يا بني لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم.
And remember when Luqman said to his son while advising him, oh my dear son, never associate anything with Allah in worship, for associating others with him is truly the worst of all wrongs. What are we referring to here?
Paganism.
Yes, good. Someone's got it at last. Paganism, that's what it is. Associating other gods to Allah is believing in lots of gods, which is polytheism, which is Hinduism, which is paganism. Is Halloween paganism?
Yeah.
Is Christmas paganism?
Yeah.
Is Easter paganism?
Yeah.
Is birthdays paganism?
Yes.
Yes, all of them. I'll put the wheel up in a minute. Look it all up. It's all to do with other gods, it's all to do with other mystics and magic and evil spirits, and it's all to do with other gods apart from Allah and superstitions and all of that. Okay? So, apart from that, there was another ayah which also mentioned about the strictness of Tawheed. Now, did you know that Prophet Muhammad quoted Luqman when he quoted don't do shirk? Okay, and that is in the Quran, so let me show you that. So Prophet Muhammad also mentioned Luqman in terms of his wisdom and understanding of Tawheed. Okay, and what happened was, somebody said to Prophet Muhammad who is there amongst us who has not done wrong to himself? And Prophet Muhammad replied, it is not as you say for wrong in the verse. There's a verse I'm going to put up in a minute. But it is the confusion of belief with shirk, which means joining in worship with Allah. Haven't you heard Luqman saying, he said to them, his saying was, oh my son, join not others in worship with Allah. Verily, joining others in worship with Allah is a great wrong indeed. Okay? And it is that ayah which is mentioned in the Quran as well. So narrated Abdullah, when the following verse of Surah Al-An'am was revealed, which I'm going to put up in a minute in Arabic, it is only those who are faithful and do not tarnish their faith with falsehood who are guaranteed security and are rightly guided. It became very hard on the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and they said, who among us has not confused his belief with wrong oppression? On that, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, this is not meant by the verse, don't you listen to Luqman's statement, verily joining others in worship with Allah is a great wrong indeed. Okay? And that is in Sahih Bukhari, which we know is very strong hadith as well. And here's the ayah.
الذين آمنوا ولم يلبسوا إيمانهم بظلم أولئك لهم الأمن وهم مهتدون.
Okay, now you know what's really, really interesting is, alongside Luqman giving the advice, who else in the Quran gives that advice in literally the same words in the Quran?
Prophet?
No. No. Yes. No. Allah. Okay? The words Allah releases are exact words of what Luqman says, and I'm going to put those up when we do our morals. What does that show you? This is very deep thinking lecture today. What does that show you?
Yeah, he's got a strong connection with Allah.
Yes, and those words are from Allah. Remember, prophets on their own are just people. They cannot do anything without Allah's guidance. Okay? So that is correct, that Allah is the one telling him what to say, and he uses the same words in the Quran. Does that make sense? Okay? Right. After we worship Allah, who is the next person you are supposed to respect? Yes.
Your husband.
No.
Prophet Muhammad.
The Prophet is
No. I want you to think of your family.
Parents.
Parents. Did you know, when I do the morals, again I'm going to put up the ayah in the Quran about the first part of that ayah says that worship me, Allah, and then be dutiful to your parents, straight after Allah. Okay? So there are two quotes now from the Quran to do with parents. which is why you mentioned parents at the beginning in your intro.
Yes.
Okay? So let's have a look.
ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه حملته أمه وهنا على وهن وفصاله في عامين أن اشكر لي ولوالديك إلي المصير وإن جاهداك على أن تشرك بي ما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما وصاحبهما في الدنيا معروفا واتبع سبيل من أناب إلي ثم إلي مرجعكم فأنبئكم بما كنتم تعملون.
We have enjoined man concerning his parents. His mother carried him in her womb while suffering weakness upon weakness and then weans him in 2 years. Be grateful to me, Allah is saying, be grateful to me and then to your parents, okay? And to me is your final destination. So if you do anything bad, you have to answer to Allah. Because we know Allah, the angels are writing everything down and Allah's going to ask you everything on the Day of Judgment, okay? And then it carries on to say about shirk. It says, but if they argue with you to commit shirk, that of which you have no knowledge, do not obey them. So obviously when it comes to shirk, you should not obey them. However, it says you still have to treat them kindly. Look at that. It shows you still have to treat them kindly. Okay? So that's a good answer for reverts, for example. You do ask me a lot of those questions. It tells you still have to treat them kindly in this world, which means it's up to Allah then to judge in the next world. You ask me this all the time as well, don't you? Okay? It tells you clearly, treat them kindly in this world, then it's up to Allah to deal with them in the next world. Okay? Then to me, you will all return again, and then I will inform you of what you used to do. This is Allah speaking. Okay, you're going to come back to me and I will tell you then what you used to do. Okay, so very, very important words of wisdom, those two, both of them to do with parents. Okay, and then Allah talks about, or Luqman's advice to his son is all about doing good deeds. Do them now in this dunya, because it's only the things that you do for Allah that are going to take you up to Jannah, and all the worldly things are going to make you go doom and gloom. You can give me examples of worldly things. I know I do this all the time. What's worldly things?
Materialistic things.
Pardon?
Materialistic things.
Materialistic things like?
Accessories.
Shopping. Anything else?
Cars.
Pardon?
Cars.
Cars, that's shopping again. Anything else?
Accessories like phones, computers,
Yeah.
houses, money, everything.
Yeah, everything that you buy which is not linked with getting knowledge or to do with Allah. Any reward from Allah. Okay? Holidays, if you go Hajj or if you go Al-Aqsa Mosque, that's a proper holiday. Even if you go on a different holiday, for example, I'll give you my own example. We went to Portugal and I was feeling a little bit thinking, oh God, where's the Islam in this holiday? Well, you know what? You'll never believe it. We were in an Uber and we were driving and I thought, I wonder where the local mosque is. Well, blow me down. I looked up and there, right in front of my eyes, was a mosque. And I go, stop the car to the Uber. Stop the car, I need to get in there. Went inside and the man in there said, this is the largest mosque in Europe. Can you believe that? In Portugal, the largest mosque in Europe. If your intention is Islamic, Allah drives you that way, and you can find mosques wherever you go. Connect with the Muslims. Go to the Islamic restaurants. We went to so many Muslim. Oh, you're here. Oh my God, Fatima. Fatima's the one who I was ringing. But the mosque we found on our own, I told you about it afterwards. And then all those Muslim restaurants in Portugal. We were having halal food. Honestly, it was amazing. took over Portugal and all the history. It was just amazing. It really was. The cathedral was a mosque originally. So there you go. Allah then put knowledge for us, even from a holiday that's in Europe. But your intentions got to be there. If your intentions are, we'll go shopping and forget the mosque or whatever, then what do you think is going to happen? Allah's going to drive you more and more towards that way. Extravagance in money is worldly things, okay? Holidays, which are just pastimes, and you know, there's a limit in everything. In fact, in a minute I will show you a video, and LUQMAN said, stay within your boundaries. Everything should be in limits. Too much of one thing is bad for you, okay? So, and everything you do for the sake of Allah, your intention is, oh, I'm going to badminton today to get stronger so I can do more lectures. Yeah? So I can do more ibadah and I can lift up more heavy food for the homeless because Allah will increase my muscles here. That's good. That's your intention for Allah even through other things. Does that make sense? For health, you should do what you need to do, and for knowledge and things like that. Okay? So let's look at that ayah. The ayah forbids him to do wrong, the son, to the people, even in the slightest way, for Allah will bring it forth and bring him into account on the Day of Judgment.
يا بني إنها إن تك مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأت بها الله إن الله لطيف خبير.
LUQMAN added, "O my dear son, even if a deed were the weight of a mustard seed, be it hidden in a rock or in the heavens or the earth, Allah will bring it forth. Surely Allah is most subtle, all aware." So no matter what tiny things you do, what do you think? Allah's not recording them down? Okay? And you'll get up there and then you'll wonder, do you know, what did I do in the dunya? I didn't do any of this. I did all of this, this and this. That's what's going to be shown. So Allah's warning his son already, right at the beginning, from a young age. Get into good deeds. Get into good deeds. Okay? Some people may see it straight away themselves in their own lives. I had a very big shock when I went to do Hajj, and I learned very early on that, you know, you need to do things for Allah, and that's why I carry on the way I do, for those who need to know. Some people, they're blind and their hearts are closed like stone, but you're still coming to the lectures and you need to then do what you hear, basically. It's not just to listen to and go away and then not put it into practice. Okay? Right, Jasmine, you gave me one, and that's the next one.
No, I was going to say materialism.
No, you gave me a pearl of wisdom earlier. And I said, not yet. I said, believe in Allah first.
Oh, the prayers.
Prayers, good. Pray, he said.
يا بني أقم الصلاة.
Oh, my dear son, establish prayer, he said. Okay? Perform it properly and in due time. That was his next pearls of wisdom. Okay? Now here is the next one. He said that we need to enjoin monotheism and forbid polytheism. Again, we're going into all of this again. With your full power, with your hand, your tongue, and with your heart. Okay? Encourage what is good and forbid what is evil. Okay? Now, if I have a friend, she's doing bad, it's up to me to guide her. We should not be scared for guiding people. Okay? Because Allah will ask us on the Day of Judgment, well, you didn't want so-and-so, did you? Then it's up to them afterwards. So in a nice way, you can point out that, by the way, you shouldn't be doing this, or you shouldn't be doing this, and this leads to hellfire, and this leads to this, and this leads to this. Okay? Right, does anybody know any more pearls of wisdom that are in the Quran first? What if your friend's giving you a hard time not listening to you?
Leave them.
No, patience. Patience is a virtue. Who's heard of some of these? Okay, in a minute you'll be shocked when I do the ones that are in the Bible or in the Hadiths. They are all English sayings, and nobody even mentions they're from LUQMAN, but they're actually from him. Patience is a virtue. Okay.
واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور.
And bear with patience whatever befalls you. Surely this is a resolve to aspire to. Do you like my picture with the rope? I think somebody said something to me about a rubber band recently, and it's about to snap. And sometimes you feel like that, don't you? You're like on your last string, and one more word, and I'm going to snap.
Well, that picture means I've reached the end of my tether.
Yes, I've reached the end of my tether, basically.
The rope
But
is a tether.
Allah says have patience, because after hardship is ease. At the end of the tunnel is light. The only way is up. They all know me by now. I've got my orchestra going now. That's amazing. You all know all my little slogans, Sidra's slogans. Right, okay.
You forgot one.
I'm going on to the next
Shine
one.
bright like a light.
That's a different context completely. That's to elevate somebody who's, that's different. That's a different one. Right, okay, next is arrogance. Stop being so arrogant. Why are you arrogant? What have you got which is not from Allah? Your money, your knowledge in there, your strength, your intelligence, your house, your money, everything is from Allah. So what have you lot got arrogant to be about? You should not be arrogant. Your destiny, Allah has written your destiny. It's Him who writes your destiny. Everything good and bad is from Him. Okay? So we are not allowed to say, oh, well, I'm rich because I work hard. Well, who gave you the arms and the legs to work with in the first place? Okay? And Allah can take away your stuff at any time. Did you know? So, He's all arrogant and haughty, but we know people like Quran who will look at in the morals, Allah swallowed up the whole of his house and it disappeared in the hole. And nobody even knew where he had gone. In fact, people said, did he even exist? So at any stage, Allah can take away your money, your jobs, He can make you unemployed. Yeah, look at COVID. Did that not wake up people when COVID came?
In Spain.
Pardon?
The floods in Spain.
Yeah, you just don't know what's around the corner. We should always be grateful, okay? So we should not show off, we should not be arrogant. It is easy to be carried away and say, because of wealth, I'm a doctor, is another one in our community, so I'm all, nobody's better than me. We must never credit ourselves with our achievements. We must always credit Allah with our achievements and thank Him. There's nothing wrong with feeling proud, but we need to thank Allah. And every status that is achieved is by Allah, and sometimes it's a test, okay? To see, are we going to get all big-headed? Or are we going to still carry on? So many people said to me when I became a King's representative, well, you don't need to do all that anymore, you've got your title now. Stop feeding the homeless. You can take your hijab off, they said, because you need to now, be more like the Queen, because you're representing her. And it made me upset. I said, well, you know what, when I started off, I didn't think in my mind I'm going to get this title. So why would I stop? I'm going to carry on as I am. I'm still me. What is the litmus test of knowing when somebody is arrogant? Let's see if you can work this one out. There is a litmus test for knowing when somebody is arrogant. Zainab.
When they attribute all the good in their life to themselves.
Yes, so that is one. Actually, that happens in narcissistic relationships where one partner is always arrogant. So you tell them you did this, they go, well, you got this because of this. Actually, it's because of me you got this. Yeah? They put it onto themselves. That's what you were saying, yes? Good. That's a very clever one, Zainab. Right, are there any more?
They don't listen.
They don't listen because they think they know everything. I know better than you, you're down there. So why would I listen to you? Okay? There's another one, really important one. This is my litmus test, how I know straight away that person's arrogant.
Is it when you're doing well, they want to know you, when you're not doing so well, they don't want to know you, that one?
Not quite.
When you're down?
They
Or
think
have
they're
a-
better than the others.
Yeah.
They think they're better than everybody else, but the main one everybody's missed out. One will ask, huh?
Timekeeping.
No. The main one is they don't have any friends. They don't have any friends because they think they're better than everybody else. Why would I want to make friends with that thing down there? The main one is they don't have any friends because they think themselves higher than everybody else. They don't like anybody else. They're better than anybody else. They're prettier, they're the best. Okay? Family is not friends, by the way. Family you have to be with because you can't choose them. Friends is different, something you choose for yourself. But they don't have friends. They don't want to choose friends. Okay? Because they think they're better than them. Anyway, let's listen to the ayah now. We can discuss it.
ولا تصعد خدك للناس ولا تمش في الأرض مرحا إن الله لا يحب كل مختال فخور.
And do not turn your nose up to people, nor walk pridefully upon the earth. Surely Allah does not like whoever is arrogant and boastful. Okay? Now this is the advice LUQMAN gave to his son, but word for word later on in the morals, I'm going to put this up, where Allah is telling people in the Quran. Okay? Right, let's have a look at some more. He also said, do not walk fast or too slow. Okay? And he said, lower your voice. Don't extend it higher, except for when you're telling people about Islam. Louder, everybody. Okay? Or when you're giving adhan in a mosque is the other time. Other than that, keep your voice soft and low. Don't make it high above others. Okay?
Teaching is.
Teaching is different. Teaching comes under the banner of... No, teaching is under the banner of giving knowledge, isn't it? Yeah, that's different. We have to, don't we? Right, let's listen to the ayah.
واقصد في مشيك واغضض من صوتك إن أنكر الأصوات لصوت الحمير.
Be moderate in your pace and lower your voice. I like this one. For the ugliest of all voices is certainly the braying of donkeys. So, nagging and all that kind of stuff, nagging, shouting, screaming, yelling, even if it's to yourself. Some people do it to themselves. That all comes under the banner of putting your voice too high, and it's likened to donkeys braying. Who can tell me what a donkey is braying? This is so important. Who knows this one? It's a hadith about donkeys braying. When you hear the cock crow, it's the angels. They are seeing angels coming down at Fajr time. When you hear the donkey braying, what are they seeing? The shaitans. The shaitans, okay? So let us look at that hadith. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet ﷺ said, when you hear the crowing of cocks, ask for Allah's blessings, for their crowing indicates that they have seen an angel. This is why when it is Fajr time, you hear all the cock-a-doodle-doos going, don't you? And when you hear the braying of donkeys, seek refuge with Allah from shaitan, for their braying indicates that they have seen a shaitan. Okay? That is Sahih al-Bukhari. For this, it is forbidden to raise one's voice needlessly, but raising the voice with the adhan, the call to prayer, and in the battlefield you have to shout out, don't you, to people. Okay? Right. Those are all of the pearls of wisdom which are in the Quran. But there are more in the hadiths. And they're really interesting proverbs. And we're going to have a little game where I'm going to read the proverb and you're going to tell me what that means before I explain it to you. Okay? Okay, the rest of the pearls of wisdom are not in the Quran because they are correct in the previous scriptures. However, they are in our hadiths, okay? And the book which I will show you at the end has got all of these quotes in it. And a lot of them are to do with etiquettes when you meet people, okay? So this one is to do with smiling. Abu Muawiyah told us, wisdom dictates, "Oh my son, let your speech be good and your face be smiling. You will be more loved by the people than those who give them provisions." Okay? Now what does that mean? You will be more loved by people than those who give them provisions.
That means that people will like you for who you are and not for what you give them.
Good. So sometimes people give presents to try and win people's hearts, yes? Presents or money or other things. But here, it's trying to explain to you that smiling, okay, and your speech should be good, and your face should be smiling, and then you will be loved by the people more than those who give them provisions. That's what that means. Very, very good pearls of wisdom. The next one everybody's heard of within the English culture. Who has heard of the saying, silence is golden? Yes?
Yeah.
So, Hassan said, Luqman said to his son, "Oh my son, I have never regretted because of keeping silent. If words are silver, silence is golden." Okay? But you've got to get this in context. That does not mean that you ignore when somebody's asking you a question and asking you again and again and again. Yes? Silence is golden means, for example, you know, backbiting, and say there's gossip mongering going on in the group. Best not to get involved, and that's what they mean by silence is golden. You've got to look at the context in which this is being said. Some people can get this wrong, okay? If someone's bashing out at you and that, then you're not supposed to have silence is golden. You answer them back and you shut them up, because that one is actually coming up because you're not mentioning it. Okay?
When you're silent, you tend to hear more, listen more.
Yes, yes, listen. Listening is very important, isn't it? Okay, right, the next one says, Luqman said, "Verily, Allah's hand is on the mouths of wise men. None of them speaks but with what Allah assigned for him." And that's in the Hadith Dawood. So, who can tell me what does that mean? Read it carefully. Allah's hand is on the mouths of wise men. None of them speaks but with what Allah assigned for him.
That means that they speak with right words of wisdom. They will only speak and say things that are good.
Yeah. Who are we talking about here, do you think?
The wise people, the prophets.
The prophets, okay? We're talking about the prophets. So with the prophets, Allah's hand is on their mouths, basically. Whatever they speak, you know is going to be good, okay? Allah gives them revelation, doesn't he? Okay? So we should listen to wise people. People who know what they're talking about. Someone who quotes a hadith at you, listen to them. Don't ignore them. Okay? People who are knowledgeable, they actually, from my understanding, people who are knowledgeable, there's two types. One type is they keep the knowledge to themselves, they don't say not a word, in which case they're arrogant. And the other types are they want to share their knowledge, they want to tell people. Those types of people, they want you to learn, then you should listen to them. Okay? Right, let's go on to the next one. And consult the scholars over your affairs. Imam Ahmed quoted this from the Wisdom of Luqman book. Okay? So consult the scholars over your affairs. What does that mean?
That means get advice from people to know.
Right. This is a really important one. Okay? Some people, they want advice and they will go to the wrong kinds of people. Can anybody give me an example? Say your marriage is breaking down.
Go to the imam.
Are you going to go to a person who has already had 2 broken marriages behind them? No, think about it. Why would you ask somebody whose marriage is already broken? You wouldn't, would you? Okay?
They've got experience. What's it?
No, you have to listen to what I'm saying. I'm speaking from experience. If their marriage is broken down, it means they are not good people to talk to for advice about marriage, because their marriage is already broken twice. Okay? There are other ones that I can give you things as well. So, say somebody's depressed, really, really heavily depressed. Would you go to them and start offloading to them? You wouldn't do that. No way. And you know they're depressed because they're crying in front of you or they've just been sectioned in hospital. You don't do it. It's a no-go area. Even if you just think, oh, I'm just going to talk to them. Sorry, when you are mental health problems, you are already rock bottom. You don't want to have problems to go even lower. You need to have a bit of common sense. And you're being selfish. Are you looking at their problems? Are you dumping your own problems on them? So these are the kinds of things really that we are talking about. If you're got mental health problems, speak to happy people who can uplift you. A depressed person isn't going to be able to do much, even if they appear that they look happy. Every person who's got anxiety, who has got stress, they have got very low, small windows. They can't take your problems, okay? So choose who you want to tell your problems to. Someone who's mentally strong. A trained counsellor is best. They're already in that mode of listening to people's problems and they can guide you without being affected themselves. They've had training, okay? We've got a doctor here and I'm sure she will agree with me as well. If you've got medical problems, you go to a doctor, do you not? Okay, for the best advice, even though there are others who can give you advice here and there. Family, again, if you've got problems, keep it in your mind. If it's family problems, well, what do you think? Especially within the Asian community, is it not going to get around everywhere, the whole family? And people add in bits, Chinese whispers, and before you know it, you've basically washed your laundry in public. Does that make sense? This is why they say counsellors should be from outside the family, not in the family.
Plus they can offer impartial advice as well.
That's the other one. If you get a family member, oh, I'll be all on your side because I like you. I'm not going to go on the other person's side. Or say it's a narcissistic marriage. Oh no, I'm scared of the other person. I'll just give this person the wrong advice because I'm scared that person's going to come and get me. I have seen this in real life. So think, who are you actually offloading to? Who are you asking advice from? Okay, it's very, very important. Right, the next one is very interesting. Even if you've got the knowledge, some people have so many books, okay, but they don't implement what they're learning. So Allah Almighty scatters and wastes the bones of those who give religious opinions that go with the people's lusts and desires. That's an example. There is no good for you that you learn something new while you do not practice what you have learned previously. This is like a man who gathered a pile of dry wood, then tried to carry it, but couldn't. Thereupon he collected a second one. What is the point of you learning, coming to the lectures, for example, if you're not implementing the knowledge into your life? Does that make sense? That's what we mean here. Okay? I know plenty of people who carry on doing the bad things, and then you say, well, didn't you learn this? You know, so if you want to come, you have to learn, and then Allah will ask you, Sidra told you, so why aren't you doing it? Okay? You will be questioned then once you know. You can study the entire Quran, study 1 million hadiths, read 1,000 books, but knowledge without practice and implementation is useless. That is actually in a hadith as well. That's in Surah Jummah, the bit about the donkey carrying books. I'll put that one later on. Okay, have we understood that one? Yeah. You can ask me questions afterwards, but this is very, very important. And I am speaking from experience. Don't forget, I counsel people all the time. And I know. This is another one. I've got to say this one. This one upsets me so much. So there's a person who's asked me a question and I've answered it with hadiths and Islamic knowledge. And then that same person asked the same question to someone else, like an imam. And I think, excuse me, I actually know more than imams. I know much more because I don't know the religion black and white. I may know other things that interfaith aspects. So the same question then is asked of the imam in front of me. How's that going to feel to me then? Am I going to want to give knowledge, any words of wisdom again? I'm not going to do it, am I? So trust the answer that people give you, especially if you know they've got the knowledge. Trust the answer. Don't mistrust them and then start asking loads of people. If you ask lots of people, you're going to get different answer here, different answer here, different answer. Well, which one should I do? Those kinds of people will follow what they want to follow, by the way. They will follow the answer that they want to hear, like, yeah, it's okay to do paganism. It's fine. And then they'll go and do it. Oh, well, so-and-so Imam said it's okay. Do you understand? This is the way it works. Right, let's move on to the next one. Narrated Imam Ahmed that Ibn Umar said, we were told by Allah's Messenger that LUQMAN the WISE used to say if anything was entrusted to Allah, he would preserve it. What does that mean? Yes?
If you do something with good faith,
Yes.
then you will not likely go wrong. So
Right,
will
sort of.
protect you.
Yes, so, yes. Zainab, yes?
It's like trust Allah with your affairs. So if you, whatever you're doing, if you trust Allah,
Yes.
He's going to take care of it for you.
Excellent. That's the more accurate answer. Well done. That's excellent. Well done, Zainab. Put your trust in Allah and Allah will protect you, basically. Okay? Right, next is a nice one. Okay? It's to do with the community. So narrated Imam Ahmed, LUQMAN said to his son when he was advising him, oh my son, choose between gatherings of people precisely. If you find a gathering in which Allah is mentioned, sit yourself with them. Thus, if you are knowledgeable, your knowledge will benefit you. But if you are ignorant, they will teach you. And if Allah wishes to do them good, you will be benefited therewith. O my son, do not sit in a gathering in which Allah is not mentioned, because if you are knowledgeable, your knowledge will not benefit you, and if you are ignorant, they will add to your ignorance. And if Allah wishes to afflict them with harm, you will be afflicted with them. That is amazing. Look how clever that is. Okay? Very interesting that is to try and understand that. So this gathering is an example of the first one, don't you think? Yes?
Yeah.
We're in a nice gathering. If you're knowledgeable, your knowledge will benefit you. But if you are ignorant, they will teach you. Yes? If Allah wishes to do them good, you will be benefited therewith. That's an example of the first one.
I think this is a good example where it said choose your friends wisely, because hang out with non-Muslim people, you're more likely to be influenced by them.
Yeah, correct. And this is so important, don't you think? Choose your friends. They said Muslim friends, practicing Muslim friends are the best. They're the ones who are going to take you to Jannah. When you get up to Jannah, they can call you up to their levels, can't they? So now is the time to do it. Don't hang about with people who are, I don't know, whatever they're doing, night clubbing, all the rest, whatever examples you want. I think that one's self-explanatory, isn't it? Right, let's move on to the next one. This is also about social etiquettes. Abdullah said, LUQMAN said to his son, oh my son, if you come to a people's setting, start them with salutations saying, Assalamu alaikum, okay? Then take aside and don't utter a word till they speak. If you find them observing the remembrance of Allah, join them. But if they observe anything else, turn away from them and seek others who remember Allah Almighty. What does that mean? Yes.
Is that hadith, by the way?
That's a hadith, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
It says it there, Abdullah said.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, right, this is really interesting. Why is LUQMAN telling his son to say Salam and then wait?
Wait to hear what's going on.
yeah.
Right, because if that's Islamic gathering, they're going to answer you, aren't they? Yes? And if it's not an Islamic gathering, they're not going to answer you. And that is a way of knowing whether that is a good congregation to go in or not. Yes? That's exactly what that means. So if you come to a people's setting, start with salutation, assalamu alaikum, then take aside and don't utter a word till they speak. If you find them observing the remembrance of Allah, join them. Yeah? If they observe anything else, turn away from them and seek others. So this is the etiquettes of saying salam, but also finding out what the gathering is like, which is in sync with the first one, the slide before, which was be in good company. Okay? Now, some people, and I have seen this with my own eyes, arrogant people, they don't even say Islam, or they'll just stand at the doorway and they wait for people to come to them. That's not Islam. The person who enters says Islam first in a loud, smiling voice.
Same as they enter the house like that.
Yes, and then the others say it. They don't stand at the doorway and wait, oh, you know, let's just wait and let them all come and see me, but they don't, nobody even knows who that person is. Or staying seated and waiting for people to come to them. That's arrogance, like you said.
So
Yes.
how do we deal with people that never say Islam first? Should we still carry on doing Islam first?
I think that you should accentuate and say it so they get embarrassed.
But do you not get the reward for saying it?
Yeah, if you say it first.
Okay, in Islam, there's a big strict ruling, and it says the one who enters says Islam first.
Yeah.
The one who, the youngest says Islam to the elders first. Yeah? The youngest says it to the elders first, and the one standing says it to the one sitting. Things like that, yeah? There is a big ruling on Assalamu alaikum. You do get reward for saying it, yes you do, but it is up to the people, if they are Muslim, to know, like the children, that they should say it first to the elders. If you want to make a point, then yes, you should go up to them and you should say, Assalamu alaikum, whatever, whatever, and look them in the face and smile. And they should get a bit embarrassed. Yes.
If somebody says Islam to somebody sitting down, the person sitting down, should they stand up? And they're older.
They should.
Older people should stand up.
They should stand up and say Assalamu alaikum, give them a hug. There's etiquettes in Islam, isn't there?
That's proper etiquette.
Proper etiquette. Stand up, give them a hug, smile back, and wa alaikum assalam, how are you? And the other person says, Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Yeah.
Yes, Alhamdulillah. It's a two-way process, isn't it? So these are things which even Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us about. Okay? Now this actually carries on now because we're distinguishing Muslims and non-Muslims in a way. And it's under that banner, it tells you that you should eat with people who are pious. What that means is the people who are coming into your house, who you invite to your house, they should be pious. Okay? So Luqman said to his son, oh my son, let only the pious men eat your food. Imam Ahmed quoted this from the wisdom of Luqman. Okay? So this is actually to help you so that there's less jealousy in a way. A Muslim will know a little bit about jealousy, not being jealous of other people, and to praise the food, say Bismillah on the food, barakah, isn't it, in your house when you invite a Muslim. That is what this is meaning. It's along the same etiquettes of being with Muslims in gatherings. Okay? Yes?
I was just thinking, leading on from that, of that saying, I think where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O son of Adam, if you must fill your stomach, fill it only a third. And then if you must drink only a third, leave a third empty.
That's right. Yes.
Because the reason being that if you fill your stomach, you become more foolish. So if you're in pious company and you eat too much, then it's not going to be too
It's
bad.
everything. Do you know that? When you have a Muslim around your house, you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, you wash your hands before you eat. You're mindful of how much you're eating. You are grateful. You say Shukr Alhamdulillah. You praise the person who made the food afterwards. That's really nice. You bring a present for them when you eat. All those etiquettes are in Islam, aren't they? Okay? Right, so now on the other hand, now this is the bad people, right? So it actually tells you should not mix with foolish people. So Luqman said to his son, oh my son, do not wish for befriending a fool that he may think you approve his foolishness. So that is a really good quote, because that means that if you with fools, having a laugh about something, even drug taking and stuff, you're going to end up like them, aren't you? Yeah? So, and they're going to think you're one of them. That's what that means. They're going to think that you're actually one of them. So you shouldn't really mix with them. That's what that means. Okay? Right. The next one is happening in front of our eyes at the moment. Let's see if you can get this one. Luqman said to his son, oh my son, set apart with evil and it will set apart with you, for evil begets nothing but evil. What does that mean?
Is it the wars in days?
Yeah. If you stay with evil, you will get more evil. Okay? This is actually to do with company, but the war bit I'm going to come to in a minute. So if you stay with evil, you'll get more evil. Obviously, their bad habits are going to go on you. Peer pressure nowadays, they call it, don't they? With the children. Yeah. Okay, the next one. O my son, do not rejoice at seeing a strong man who sheds the blood of the faithful. For Allah appoints for him a killer that does not ever die. What does that mean?
You'll be eternally punished in the hellfire.
Right, and you don't know when the angel of death is going to come. So, don't rejoice at seeing a strong man who sheds the blood of the faithful. So don't laugh when, I don't know, Biden kills people in Palestine. Okay? For Allah appoints for him a killer that does not ever die. The angel of death. That's what that means. That is actually so relevant to nowadays.
Sorry, is this a hadith?
Yes, these are all from Ibn Khadim. Yes. I do not put anything up of my own accord.
Okay.
Everything up is either from the Quran or the Hadiths. Okay, on the same subject, it tells you that narrated Sufyan ibn Uyayna, LUQMAN was asked, who is the worst of all people? He replied, it is the one who does not feel shame if found committing a sinful deed. Okay, so one of the idea of a pious person is when they commit a sin, they feel guilty, don't they? So anyone who doesn't, then you know that's a bad person. Very, very good words of wisdom. Okay? The other one I really like is, he also said, it is stated in the wisdom, love your friend and the friend of your father. So LUQMAN said this to his son. Love your friend and the friend of your father. Okay? Once a father dies, did you know that the children are supposed to be good then to the friend of the father and take that person on board as a father? Yes? And do the same to them, and it's like they are doing the same to their own father. And vice versa with the mother as well. Okay? Right, I think there's one more. Sayyar told us, LUQMAN said to his son, oh my son, take Allah's obedience as your trade and you will gain profits without having any merchandise. What does that mean?
Basically, Allah's going to bless you in whatever you do. If you have faith and trust in Allah, you'll be blessed.
Is that going to be more than money?
Yes.
It's waiting is more than money. Yes? So obey Allah, and this is more valuable than money. Money does not bring you happiness. And everything related to money, okay? Millionaires are depressed nowadays. Actors, pop stars, are they happy? Not a single one. All of them, they commit suicide or they're depressed. Because money does not fill that void that brings you the happiness, which is that connection with Allah. This is so important. When you were made by Allah and you took the Shahada. And the only way is if you then connect with Allah, that is what makes you happy, not money. You can fill yourself up with materialistic goods. It will make you happy for a couple of hours and then you're back down low again. It does not fulfill that satisfaction. It's like food only fills your stomach and not you eating something else. Okay? So this is why Islamic events make you more happier. Or you go to events where something's happening like this and it makes you really happy and you go away ecstatic outside. Okay? And this picture's really interesting because it's showing his path up to Jannah in a way while he's doing ibadah on his prayer mat up there. Okay? If you don't do this often enough, you may not get that illusion. But if you pray regularly, eventually you will get up to that level. Okay, the next one you must have heard is about sowing your seeds in this life. And he said, it is stated in the Torah, kindness is the head of wisdom. And he said, it is stated in the Torah, as you show mercy to others, mercy will be shown to you. And he said, it is stated in the wisdom, you will gain what you give or harvest what you grow.
So
That's right, yeah.
Yes. Yes, as you sow, you shall reap. You've heard of that. That is where that has come from. Did you know? It's actually come from LUQMAN's words. LUQMAN, Al-Hikmah's words. So whatever you do it now in this dunya, and your seeds are being made up. They're literally. Did you know each time you do the tasbih, a seed is planted up in Jannah, and when you go there, there'll be a massive tree. Has somebody noticed that tree?
Yeah.
What can you see?
Allah.
Where is it? Here?
The branches. That's right.
No, the branches.
And the branches.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
The
I can
branches
see it on the mouth.
and
Yeah,
here
yeah,
on the
that's
trunk.
superimposed, it's the actual
Yeah.
branches.
Yes, the branches say Allah as well. Amazing. Okay, the next one is linked with that. When you do good deeds, are you supposed to be showing off about it?
No.
Like, for example, when you give money to somebody. So this is a really good example. Yazid said, Luqman said to his son, "Oh my son, fear Allah and do not let the people notice that you fear Him to gain honor from them while your heart is sinful." Okay? So this man has done a good deed, he's given some beggars some money. The deed has been planted up in Jannah. Can you see the little plant? Okay? And he's getting all happy with himself. And now he's walking along and he meets somebody. Assalamu alaikum, how are you? Alhamdulillah, thanks. And he goes by so his trees bloomed into flower. Yes? Can you see? The plants become a flower. Now this is where he loses it. So he goes on the phone. By the way, I just met the beggar lady. Yes, the one with the little baby. I gave her some money, you know. And the plant up there's dead. So that's a really good example. So you're not allowed to show off, basically. Do not do it for show or to gain honor, okay? Unless, what circumstance are you allowed to say it?
Don't let the left hand know what the right hand does.
Yes, and the other thing is that if there is a congregation and there's an auction going on, then yes, I'm giving £5,000. That's different because you are trying to instigate all the others to give as well. In that circumstance, you're allowed. Yes.
Oh, just to encourage others, you've said it.
To encourage others, you are allowed.
That's right.
You are allowed. But
And you're all in
only,
the same environment.
only when you're in that environment. But that doesn't mean when you come out, you go, well, guess what? I gave £5,000. You know, keep within limits. Right, this is a summary now before we do our video and then quiz. So, Abdul Razak told us, these are three more. Luqman was once asked, who is the best one in terms of patience? He said, it is the one who practices no harm after observing patience. So there's another one. Those who asked him said, who is the best one in terms of knowledge? He said, it is he who adds to his own knowledge through the knowledge of others. Okay? They asked, who is the best from among the whole people? He said, it is the wealthy. They said, is it the one who has properties and riches? He said, no. But it is the one, if whose good was sought, he would not hold it back or prevent it. And it is the one who does not need anything from others. So there's another one. Another quote there. Okay? Right, we're going to have a summary now. I haven't got a poem today, but I've got a video, which is a summary of what you've heard, which you need to listen to, and then we're going to have our quiz.
Allah Azza wa Jal, He speaks about that moment that Luqman al-Hakim tells and gives an advice to his young son, and he says to him, "Oh my son, do not ascribe partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, ascribing partners to Allah Azza wa Jal is extreme injustice." Oh my son, imagine if there is a weight of an atom seed or a weight of a mustard seed, and that mustard seed was in a rock on the surface of this earth or in the heavens. Now for a fact that Allah Azza wa Jal knows where it is, and now that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see it. In other words, Allah Azza wa Jal can see you wherever you are, at whatever place you are in or at. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see you. Don't think you could hide away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows what we do. Allah knows what we say. Allah knows every action that we take. Allah can see us. Allah can watch us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows of everything that we do. This is the advice that Luqman gave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see everything. Allah can hear everything. And Allah knows of everything. Then the third advice is now where he says to him, "Oh my son, establish the prayers. He did not say to him, pray. He said, establish prayers in your life. When you pray because you have to pray, and you pray because you feel like it's an obligation upon you, or you pray just for the sake of lifting that responsibility of your shoulder. But when you establish the prayers, you live the prayers even though you're outside the prayers. Because what's the main purpose of praying? That you become conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you say Allahu Akbar and you read the Fatiha and you make ruku' and you make sujood, during that process, the only thing that's in your mind, or the only thing that you try to have in your mind, is that you are standing before Allah, so you only want to think righteous. When you are praying, you try and connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though most of us, and the vast majority of times, we're not even devoting in our prayers, we're not even concentrating in our prayers. The prayer is not about that 3 or 4 minutes that you put to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you make those movements. The prayer is about making a change in your life. Live your entire life as if you are praying every single moment of your life. And then he follows that, call for which is good and prevent from which is bad. Enjoin people to goodness and prevent people from badness. And have patience. Have patience over what you endure. Have patience over what you face. Have patience over what you encounter. Have patience over what you experience. In life, there are so many things in life. There are so many times and so many moments and events in life that we need to have patience. Not always throughout life and over the course of time that we continue to experience goodness in our life. Sometimes we experience goodness and sometimes we experience evilness. Sometimes we experience happy things and sometimes we experience sad things. Have patience over what you experience. If something goodness comes to you, thank Allah for it. If something evil or sad comes to you, have patience. This is life. But there's something else that Allah Azza wa Jal is alluding to in this verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to tell us, those that are upright, those who are righteous, those who establish prayers, those who are called for good, those who prevent from bad, will always experience hardships in their life. Indeed, these are from the most determined matters to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he's given now another advice to his son, saying to his son, oh son, don't turn your cheek, don't turn your face to people. What does that allude to? What does that imply to? This is implying to pride. When people have pride, and people with pride, when they talk to you, they don't face you face to face. They are too good for you to look at their face and for them to look at you. And that's why they look at you from the side of their face. Doesn't want to talk to you, doesn't want to face you. Now the advice that Luqman is giving to his son, don't turn your face to people when you speak to people. Whoever has an atom weight of pride will never enter the paradise. Don't think you are untouchable. You might think that you are more superior than everyone, but in the sight of Allah, you are the worst one in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you walk, walk gently. And when you speak, don't speak with a high voice. Be moderate and balanced when you speak and when you walk. Lower your voice when you speak to people. Respect people. It's disrespectful when you speak to people with a loud voice. This is the action and the attitude of a donkey. And from amongst the advice of Luqman al-Hakim that he gave his son, he says, oh my son, don't be so sweet or people will swallow you. And don't be so sour, people will spit you out. Be balanced. Don't give too much and don't take too much. Allah praised this ummah because of its moderation. Oh my son, have hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the fear that Allah would not accept from you. And also fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the hope that Allah Azza wa Jalla will forgive you. Balance. And that's the beauty of Luqman al-Hakim. He was very balanced. how wise he is in his understanding and how wise he is in the way he dealt with people. Some of the scholars say that Luqman al-Hakim passed away and he was buried in Palestine. He was buried in Bethlehem, and other scholars say he was buried in Yemen, and other scholars say he was buried in Egypt. This is Luqman al-Hakim, a man full of wisdom, a man that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised for his wisdom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised for his righteousness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised for his piety. A man that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala named a full surah after him. A man that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to take as a role model. And obviously the greatest role model for us is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I ask Allah to make us from amongst those who listen and hear, act upon what they listen and hear. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.
There were a few more there. He said, don't be so sweet that people swallow you. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Because some people are too kind and that's why they're trampled all over, are they not? Okay? So there's a limit to being too sweet. And the other one he said was, don't give too much. Did he not say don't give too much, but don't take too much?
And he said, don't be too sour that they'll spit you out.
Yes.
That was good as well.
That was good as well. So these are very important things. The one that I say is if you're too sweet, you give people diabetes. Do you see? That's the one that I use. It's true. So if you're too sweet, you must have heard the English saying you give, but you take as well. You don't just give. You take as well. Yes.
The last video, just for my benefit,
Yes.
is it Quran based or Hadith based?
It was both.
Okay.
The bits about Allah and shirk and arrogance was all the Quran, wasn't it? Because we went through those 6. And then the bits at the end, the sweet bit
About
and the
sweet and swallowed.
that's all hadiths, loads of them. I did say there's so many, I can't go through all of them here. But that's really important because this is how you get into problems then in your relationships. If you're too sweet, obviously people are going to use and abuse you, are they not? There's a limit, isn't there? There's boundaries and you have to be assertive at some stage. Otherwise you're used and abused and you can't give. You've got to take as well. But also you can't take either. That also usually happens sometimes in marriage where one person's giving, the other one's taking. That's not a normal relationship. It really is not. It's give and take. Give and take.
Same with
Yes.
parents and children as well. Parents
Yes.
should not just keep giving. You should give them chores to do when they're young and they
Yeah.
expect a few things back as well.
Of course.
Don't wait till they're teenagers to
Yes.
teach them the garden chores.
Yeah, say you're always taking the family out for dinner all the time. Well, one day tell somebody who works in the family to pay for the dinner. There's another example. You can't just do it all the time. Okay, it makes you feel good, but it spoils the relationship. The relationship dynamics is not correct. But anyway, forget about what I'm saying. He said it, so you can't argue with him, can you? You see, a lot of people, they argue with me. Well, it's in the Quran, it's in the Hadiths. Who are you arguing with? Allah? Anyway, right, let us now move on to, so this is the translation of the Quran. This is actually really nice dua that I wrote. I ask Allah to bless us all in beneficial knowledge and help us put to practice what we learn and acquire of it, so that we can reap its benefits in this world and the next. May Allah grant us wisdom to comprehend the Quran and Sunnah and help us incorporate them in our lives. May He make us among those who learn from our mistakes and from those of others and keep us among His repentant slaves.
Ameen.
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 The Stories of the Prophets is the book I used, and that's the Torah where I know LUQMAN is used. But I looked at some of the things, his proverbs in there, and they matched with our hadiths, which I quoted all the hadiths. Everything you heard today was Islamic. Okay? My YouTube channel you already know, and this is, now I do have a QR code. If you haven't subscribed, then you need to. And I would like everybody to take out their mobiles now and go to Kahoot it, and I will put up the code.
How many questions are there?
10, but they're difficult. I've made it hard
I
today.
always get the false ones. Which one is false?
Yeah, which one's false means you look at all the ones that are true, and it's not those, it's the false ones.
Like hotel.
Khadija's in there. Khadija's always the top 3, isn't she? That's why we have 3 winners, you see. Last time I thought the quiz was easy peasy and everyone found it really hard. And today's quiz I think is hard, but I bet you'll find it so easy. You never know with the audience, to be honest. Promptness makes points. What do points make?
Prizes.
So the promptness is what does it. You could get the question right, but it's how quick are you going to press that button? Okay? I'll read out the questions and then you just got to press the colour. What was Luqman most known for? Knowledge, telling the truth, wisdom, or staying silent in matters that do not concern him? Most known for. Okay, the answer is wisdom. Okay? The others are true, by the way, but it wasn't what he was most known for. The word is most, which is the main one. Muntaha, you're at the top. Ijaz, you're second. Tibi, you're third. And Khadija, you are fourth. Usman, well done to Usman. I think he may be the youngest one here. Are you the youngest one here?
I think here.
How old are you? 9. And Mikhail? How old are you? 12. So Usman's the youngest here. Shame on all of you, isn't it? Right, let's carry on. Double points. In what ways did Allah elevate Luqman? Which one is false? Granted him wisdom, named a surah after him, made him a prophet, offered him prophethood. Which one is false? In what ways did Allah elevate Luqman? Made him a prophet. He did offer him prophethood. He did name a surah after him and he did grant him wisdom. Okay? Ijaz, you're at the top. Khadija, you're second. Noman, you are third. Okay? Double points, everybody.
Ooh.
What different roles did Luqman have? Which one is false? Shepherd, slave, carpenter and father. Preacher, tailor, servant and judge. Shepherd, advisor, carpenter and judge. Woodcutter, tailor, carpenter and judge. Which one is false? This is the difficult one. The answer is, this one is false. Woodcutter, tailor, carpenter and judge. He was not a woodcutter, but he was a shepherd, advisor, carpenter, judge. He was shepherd, slave, carpenter, father. He was a preacher, tailor, servant and judge. Okay? Right, let's have a look. Oh, Naman, you are second and you're going up with a big flame on there. Brilliant. And Mikhail, you are third. The board's completely changed, hasn't it? Completely changed. Right, next. Which 2 body parts can be the best and be the worst? Everybody look on here. Eyes and brain, brain and tongue, heart and tongue, tongue and hands. Which one is it? 11. All 11 got that right. That's wonderful.
That's the easiest one there.
Yeah.
Ijaz, you've got a flame next to your name. Noman, you are second. Wouldn't it be good if you... Well, actually, you did win once, I remember. Right, next. There's not many now left, by the way, questions. We're halfway through. True or false? Double points. What did Luqman say why he was raised to high status by Allah? Are these statements true or false? Divine decree, repaying the trust, telling the truth, discarding and keeping silent regarding what does not concern me, lowering my gaze, watching my tongue, eating what is lawful, keeping my chastity, undertaking my promises, fulfilling my commitments, being hospitable to guests, respecting my neighbours. Is that true or false? Those are all the reasons he gave for getting up to a high status. Even if one is wrong, it's false. They all have to be right for it to be true.
I hate these ones.
Very complicated.
I did say it was a hard quiz. It's true. All of them were true. Did you know? Right. Let's have a look at our scoreboard. Ijaz, you're at the top with a fire next to your name. 5 correct answers in a row.
Good brain.
Khadija, you're in there as well. And I think Noman's, you've been kicked off the scoreboard. However, there is still time. Let's go on to the next question. Number 6. How many advices that Luqman gave to his son are in the Quran? 5, 6, 10, 7. Easy this one is. How many actually in the Quran? It is 6. It is 6. I think 9 of you got that right, which is good. Okay, I think the scoreboard is changed slightly. Muntaha, you are 5th. Tibi just hit answer streak 4. Number 7. What was the topic of the first advice given? Be kind to parents, no shirk, have patience, pray. That's easy.
I've got all 3 right so far.
What was the first advice? It was shirk. It's always to do with Allah, isn't it? There's only one Allah, basically. Okay, Ijaz still at the top. Rosina, you are 2nd. Mikhail, there's a bit of competition between you siblings going on over there. Right, let's carry on. Double points. What did Luqman say regarding social etiquettes? Which one is false? Let pious people eat your food. Hang around with pious people. Silence is golden in matters not of concern. Say salam and smile. If the group is not remembering Allah, join them to do dawah. Which one is false with the social etiquettes? Good, it is that one. If the group is not remembering Allah, join them and do dawah. Luqman said don't join them, didn't he? He said don't join them.
So I've got 5 right out of 5.
Tibi, you're back in the scoreboard. Right, next. Number 9, double points. What did Luqman say regarding bad people? Which one is false? If you stay with evil people, you get more evil. Do not rejoice at seeing a strong man who sheds the blood of the faithful. The worst people are ones who do not feel shame if found committing a sin. You can befriend a fool as long as you do not join in with them. Which one is false? This is the false one. You can befriend a fool as long as you do not join in with them. Luqman said don't befriend them in the first place, didn't he? Yes?
I've got a streak of 6 and 6. But
You should be on the board.
I can't catch up.
You should be on the board.
I'm too far behind.
It doesn't matter. You never know. Allah does miracles. Okay. Muntaha, you're up, going up a bit. Tibi, you're 5th. Right, next. I think it's the last question, I'm not sure. No, yeah, 10. Double points. Which of these proverbs is false? Show love to friends and father's friend. Do not show off. Be patient and leave books so you can read them one day when you get time. Reward from being obedient to Allah is better than money. Which one is false? It is that one. Be patient and leave books so you can read them one day when you get time. Luqman said, don't do that. If you're going to gain knowledge, then use it, didn't he? Yeah, give it to others or use it. Right, let's have a look. Who the winner is?
Number 1 is yours.
3 is Mikhail, well done. 2 is Rosina, and 1 is Ijaz.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know what to give.
Oh, that looks nice. This looks nice.
Right, let's give out number 1 first, which is Ijaz. Let's give him a round of applause. Well done.
Thank you.
And this is your chocolates. Yeah, let's have a photo.
Stay there.
Got it.
Got it.
There you go. Well done.
Either that or the lollipop.
No, that's somebody else's. Right, number 2 is Rosina. Well done. I'm so proud of you. Do you know that? I really am. Well done. Shall I tell you why the 2 siblings won? Because her mum stepped off the aeroplane this morning and was at the airport and came running home. Why? To come to the lecture. Isn't that wonderful? She stepped in the house and she said, come on kids, we're going to Sidra's lecture. That's what I call having a good attitude.
Yeah.
So that is why both of your children won today, by the way. That's from Allah. Okay, Mikhail, let's have you next. Well done, congratulations. And I am going to give Brother Tariq something today because he comes early, he helps out with all the setting up of all the hall, he brings all that food, is all down to him, and the poor thing couldn't get into the quiz, and he's so humble. He's the most humble person that I know actually. He never ever says anything about what he does, he keeps quiet. So I am going to give you a prize. The reason is that you couldn't get into the quiz until later. So let's give him a round of applause as well.
Thank you.
Just hold. Just hold.
It's an honorary prize.
Thank you.
Right, okay. And this is actually our morals. Okay? And we are now going to look at all the morals that are actually in the Quran. This is now where we come in and we do the morals which are equivalent to what LUQMAN said. Okay? So if you give thanks, I will give you more. It's the first one that he did, didn't he? Yes? And any form of shirk, any form of worship to anyone other than Allah, even by using his name together with someone else, is an act of shirk. So that one is very, very important. Paganism, we already know. I don't really need to repeat myself. I think everybody should know this off by heart now. And we know that all of those things are all to do with paganism. And shirk is not allowed, okay? The one about parents, very, very important. One day we will also become old, like our parents, grandparents. It says, your Lord has decreed that you worship none but him and be kind to parents. If one or both of them reach old age in your life, say not to them a word of disrespect, nor shout. The word there is oof, okay? Now oof doesn't just mean saying the word oof. It means shrugging your shoulders, it means rolling the eyes, it means ignoring, all of those things, okay? So do not use the sharpness of your speech on the mother who taught you how to speak. And when they get older, it says that you should lower to them your parents the wing of humility and say, my Lord, bestow on them our mercy, even as they cherished me in childhood. Okay? In Islam, did you know, as the parents get older, they go back to being a child again. So they start off like this, and then they go like this, and then they end up like this. And that's exactly how my mum and dad are at the moment, so I'm feeling very emotional. I'm seeing it more and more. They can't walk, they speak childishly, their food needs to be purified, they're on catheters or they have to go on nappies and things. It's sad. It is exactly like this. We always think at this stage we're not going to get to that stage, but we do. So we should look after our parents as much as we can while we are alive, really, and they are alive. Allah is He who created you in a state of weakness, then gave you strength. After weakness, then after strength gave you weakness and grey hair. He created what He wills, and it is He who is the all-knowing, the all-powerful. This is a mother now, and she's getting weaker and weaker. Her daughter is supporting her, but by the end, the daughter then ends up holding her. So it's very powerful pictures. If we grant long life to any, we cause him to be reversed in nature. That is in the Quran. To reverse him in nature means in old age, Allah turns him back to the state of childhood. He becomes unable to stand and walk without the help and support of others. He is fed by others, he urinates and defecates in bed, talks childishly and is laughed at by others. So in the Quran, all of this is actually mentioned. In short, towards the end of life, he returns to the same state of weakness with which he had started life in this world. The other one was mentioned by LUQMAN, but it's up again by Allah. He is telling you that we place the scales of justice for the day of resurrection, so no soul will be treated unjustly at all. And if there's even the weight of a mustard seed, that's exactly what LUQMAN said, isn't it? We will bring it forth, and sufficient are we as accountant. Okay? And again, there is the scales showing that this is more weighting in your life than worldly duties. It actually tells you also in the Quran that your life is but an amusement. You know, your worldly life is an amusement, isn't it? In this world. It's an illusion, delusion. Patience, we know about the whole story from Prophet Ayyub alayhi salam as well, to be patient. Truly we found him patient, how excellent a slave, verily he was ever oft returning in repentance to us. And you know those words about being arrogant? Allah has got them in the Quran, word for word the same. Do not walk upon the earth proudly, you will never tear the earth apart, and you will never reach the mountains in height. I have got the Quranic ayah here.
ولا تمش في الأرض مرحا إنك لن تخرق الأرض ولن تبلغ الجبال طولا.
Okay. And we have got examples of arrogance from Qarun's story, haven't we? Do you remember we did Qarun's story? So here is the ayah about him being arrogant.
إن قارون كان من قوم موسى فبغى عليهم وآتيناه من الكنوز ما إن مفاتحه لتنوء بالعصبة أولي القوة إذ قال له قومه لا تفرح إن الله لا يحب الفرحين.
Indeed, Korah was from the people of Moses, but he behaved arrogantly towards them. We had granted him such treasures that even their keys would burden a group of strong men. Some of his people advised him, do not be prideful. Surely Allah does not like the prideful. He carried on, and then in the end, Allah made the whole of his world swallow up. The whole of his house went inside a ditch. And people even questioned, was he even around? We did that story in Moses' story. And who is the other one who is really arrogant?
Pharaoh.
Pharaoh, anybody else? The biggest one is Shaitan. He was arrogant. He said, I'm not going to bow down to Adam because he's made out of clay and I'm made out of fire. Why would I want you to bow down to him? So Allah kicked him out of Jannah, didn't he? Okay? So it is written here about Allah saying to him, then get down from paradise. It is not for you to be arrogant here, so get out. You're truly one of the disgraced, he said. Okay? And it's mentioned actually in the Quran that arrogance leads to hellfire.
وبما كنتم تفسقون
You were arrogant upon the earth without right, and because you were defiantly disobedient. Okay? Right, more morals. Whoever puts all his trust in Allah, He will be enough for him. Okay? So all of these things, again, are repeated in the Quran by Allah. The one about the books are really like, here's another one.
مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين.
The example of those who were entrusted with observing the Torah but failed to do so is that of a donkey carrying books. How evil is the example of those who reject Allah's signs, for Allah does not guide the wrongdoing people. This is in Surah Jummah, and in here it talks to you about books that are carried like donkeys again, you know, and yet they're not using that information that they've got. You know, a little bit like when someone tells you something and you don't listen to it, even though you know it's wrong, and you carry on. We are going to do questions now, very quickly. Yes.
You mentioned that only let pious people eat your food.
Yes.
But if you invite non-Muslims and they're not pious, how can you not let them eat your food?
Yes, I think that you don't need to go over the top, okay? So obviously it is manners to offer them a cup of tea and cake or biscuits, but like we do with our own people where we would cook a meal and give to them, you don't have to go overboard. It's that kind of thing. I think the main result here, the example we're getting here, is that not to make friends with non-Muslims, because they will never be your friend. And it's actually written in the Quran. They will never be your friend until they make you one of them, it says.
I've noticed more and more lately that I feel uncomfortable in non-Muslim surroundings.
Yes, because your soul is not comfortable, yeah? And you are more connected with Allah, that means. So you feel it. I feel it when I go out with non-Muslims now, a lot. I can't relate to them. You just don't find a topic you can talk about. Their topics are all about drinking and this guy and that guy. We just can't. I find it hard, very difficult actually. Much more difficult than connecting with your own, isn't it? Yes.
It's the opposite with me basically. I have got white friends, okay? The thing is, I talk to about day-to-day things. I know they drink alcohol, whatever, okay? The thing is, we live in a multicultural society, and I'm not going to tell anyone what to do because he's going to be he's going to be taking everybody's soul at tongue down. But with Muslims, basically, as I was saying to Brother Tariq earlier, yeah, okay, it's all basically we pray, whatever. They don't understand what people's situation entirely is, okay? They don't understand basically that not everybody is the same, okay, right? And with them, basically, you know, it's a question of, well, do this and do that, okay? The thing is, everybody learns at their own pace. And I had one convert guy, basically, and he reckoned, he gives me, just pray, let's get together. And I thought, right, okay, I know another convert guy who has knowledge. I'll relate to him, I can get together with him. And I know this Chinese guy, he's taking baby steps to pray. Now, I'm not judging, but I thought his next door neighbor, when he led the prayer, I thought, so what
if you feel strong enough, then it's okay, because you can take it as that you're doing dawah. I do not agree with totally not mixing with non-Muslims, otherwise how will you ever make them Muslim? Do you understand? So when you meet them, your intention should always be so intercede, say something good about your religion, be a good role model, and your intention should be to try and make them come more towards Islam.
Yeah, but with Muslims, basically you just, I mean the thing is, they're so religious, but the thing is, then you pick little fools, well hang on a minute, yeah, they're this bad, but this is what I found out.
You know what, everybody's different, you can't paint everybody with the same brush. Okay, everybody here is not like that, others you wouldn't be coming every time, would you here?
No.
You look forward to coming here. So you can't paint everyone with the same brush, everybody's different. And also, what you may have come across, others may not have come across, so we need to be non-judgmental is the word as well. Okay? Mm-hmm. Right, anyone else? Any questions about today's lecture? Anybody? No? All right. Brother Tariq, did you want to finish off?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, thank you for coming, and much obliged for your time and concentration. It's been great fun for me today, apart from it was a surprise still to receive something. I answered 7 questions. Thank you very much for choosing. So the lecture was very nice, fun as usual. The points were made very clearly, and the hadiths were not known to me, so I found them particularly helpful. So I kept nagging, is this Quran or hadith? So I did appreciate the patience of the presenter. So the next lecture, ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, it's the Sabbath Breakers, which will be on Saturday, the 30th of November at 1:30. And we have a safe journey home. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.